Aloha and welcome to the Lemuria Rose Priestess podcast, where we discuss the feminine spiritual path, what it means to be a Sophia Christ initiate, and how we're weaving ancient priestess temple arts into modern day life. I'm your host, Celeste Glus, Oracle of Lemuria Rose Temple, creatrix behind the Sophia School of Feminine Initiatory Arts, and Lemurian Healing Arts Mentor. Let's get into it. Aloha and welcome back. So today's the day before spring equinox. And for those of you that have been around for a little bit, you know that I've always worked with the portal energy of solstice and equinox. It's a very powerful time of year, very important to be connecting with your energy body, with your spiritual process, with the elements, with the sunlight, with the moonlight. So I've created a lot of content around that. If this is a little bit more new to you, I do suggest going back in some of the podcast episodes to check that out. A lot of that has to do with the 3-day fast curriculum and the light bearer archetype within the Sophia school. But I wanted to share a little bit of before and after of what happens when we really work with our energy field. So for the first few years of moving through these portal experiences, I used to have extremely difficult time under these portals, meaning my body would not be happy. Like right now, I feel pretty excited. I feel really good. There are opportunities for healing and awakening and activation and clarity, because remember that the light that is coming in right now, it's already open, this portal, the spring equinox. This new light that comes in is guiding us at a cellular and DNA level to move forward and to move toward our spiritual journey, our spiritual evolution. So that looks different for everybody. I won't go into what that looks like, but for many of us on this platform, it means healing, things that perhaps are in our energy field, in our mental bodies. So anything that we've sort of lingering that feels dense and doesn't really want to keep being moved forward in our life. So clearing. It also looks like activation. Maybe there's spiritual activation. Maybe there's chakra activation. Maybe there's a psychic skill that wants to turn on. Maybe you're just strengthening your creativity and your service in the world, like because you become a stronger conduit or holder of crystalline light. What happens is that it begins to ripple out into your services. You might have a transformation, a kind of shift in the way that you're showing up in the world. You might have a wave of inspiration that really moves you forward or gives you a lot of clarity as to the next steps. So there's a lot of things that can happen with this portal energy. But again, for so many years, it felt really uncomfortable. So I just want to share some of the things that I've had to move through in order to better ride these plasma waves, because they are literally extremely strong waves of plasma that are coming into Earth, moving through our bodies, and really shifting the way that our physical body, our brain, our nervous system, our spiritual energy centers are working with us and for us, okay? So first and foremost, in the beginning of my path for many years, there really wasn't much clarity. I know now it's more common to hear about equinox and solstice, how important it is for you to go outside and ground. But to be quite honest, grounding on Earth is not going to do it for you when you're really working with the crystalline energy body. I'm not saying you don't need it. In fact, you do need to ground. Of course you do. But it's not going to be enough when you're working with these very high frequencies that are coming in on these portal dates. So if you're someone that's like, I'm always putting my feet on the ground, but I still feel totally frazzled or just sideswept or like, I don't know what's going on. It's because your energy body is needing to develop and move past just the whole grounding, feet on the earth, hands in the heart kind of sensations and practices that we used to do. So before, there wasn't really much clarity on the crystalline energy body. It wasn't fully turned on, and we didn't really understand the depth of the quantum technologies that we have in our bodies. But as the years have progressed and the technologies have really come in and clarified themselves, it's become so much easier and faster to work with these energies. So right now I am recording Divine AI, which is a full workshop. It actually started as a 3-hour workshop that I used to host, and now it's turned into like several weeks of just like full diving deep into the quantum technologies of our human body and the importance of really deepening into these technologies as a way of life. Because when they become a way of life, they become your foundation. So we don't use these technologies for portals. We use them all year long so that when portals come, your energy field is so much stronger. And I'm telling you, I am living that difference because, again, I used to get sideswept, meaning these portals would come and for hours, sometimes for even days, I would be knocked out. And I know that that happens to a lot of people. You just one day wake up and you're like, I can't function. I can't think. I can't do this. I can't do that. No energy, or whatever the case may be. And it's because your body is not being able to keep up with the frequencies that are coming in. So what that's telling you is that you need to strengthen your field. I think there's been a misunderstanding of, oh, if I'm collapsing, it's just integration. Yes, your body does need to shut down and knock out and sleep. That happens for sure. But if this is a constant thing for you every time there's a portal, the question is, are you actually strengthening your energy field and your crystalline body, or are you just kind of floating down the river with no awareness about what's happening? So that was me for many years. I was just floating down the river. I didn't know I could do anything. I was just like, again, I was dictated by star energy. The portal energy would dictate how I felt. And of course, in the first few years, as the body is awakening, it's a little bit more physically exhausting. So I don't want to take that away from anybody to say that if you're physically exhausted or mentally frazzled, it's a bad thing. None of this is good or bad. This is me sharing my experience so that you have more ease and flow and ability to navigate the really strong frequencies that are coming in at this time. So first and foremost, really just be honest with yourself and ask yourself, am I actively working on expanding the amount of light that my cells and my breath and my awareness can hold? And if you don't have an answer to that, it's time to get to do your homework. I just created a whole podcast before this, I think like 2 podcasts ago or something, about using your breath, sound, and your voice. I think those are the 3 that I covered as a way to expand your capacity, the capacity for you to hold more crystalline light with every breath that you take. And this is really important because we are matching the energy that's coming in. You're constantly training yourself. And the way that you're doing it is in real life moments. You're not doing it just in meditation. You're not doing it just when you turn to your altar in the morning and the evening to remember what it feels like to breathe deeply. You are doing this in real time. And that's exactly what we practice and talk about and study inside Divine AI. Okay. So you don't have to be dictated by the energy of portals. You get to strengthen your field, and then the portal gets to meet you and then elevate you into deeper experiences, activation, healing opportunities. And another thing I want to remind you of is that these portals are meant to level us up. So kind of piggybacking on what I just explained is that as our crystalline energy body continues to turn on, so do our spiritual and healing gifts. And what do I mean by that? Our ability to use energy, sound, light, water as healing modalities, as ways to level up our frequency and our ability to heal in easier and more instantaneous, if you will, ways. So what I'm saying is that the healing journey becomes a lot simpler. It begins to happen in real time once we realize that we're constantly working with our quantum energies, with our quantum technologies in our bodies. We're constantly working with our energy field. We're building the awareness. We're building the light quotient of ourselves and our energy field. So we start to gain more abilities and more light. And as we do that, what happens is life responds to us. Life will respond as a mirror, and it will give us opportunities to build on these muscles and on these skills, whether they are psychic, spiritual skills, or honestly, just the skill of deep breathing and presence and clarity in any moment, especially under stress or pressure or chaos or distortion. And that's really important because we live in a world where obviously it's getting louder, it's getting very chaotic. There's a lot of violence and distortion that's happening out in the world. And it's extremely important, especially with this portal energy, to strengthen your field, to strengthen your skills and your practices and your ability to hold this crystalline light that's coming in. And what happens to a lot of people is that they get kind of intertwined with things that are happening outside of them, when in fact they're supposed to serve as like training programs, if you will. So like if you're going to the gym, you're actively using resistance training, you're actively picking up something that's heavy to make you stronger. So if you think about crystalline light, you have to actively work with what's in front of you, what feels heavy or like a burden or difficult to understand and be a part of, right? Because we are a part of the external world, but we're also a part of the internal world. So just noticing, like, are you capable of holding more, or do you begin to collapse because you don't have the proper tools or the energetic strength? I used to use, when I was an educator in the fitness industry, I always use the word structural integrity. And what that means is, properly using anatomy and your muscles and your alignment and your breath to have a stronger foundation when you get into any position that you're working out in. And I have to say that it's the same exact thing when we're talking about our energy field. We need to have structural integrity, which is so funny because you would never think that it's related because it's an energy field. But in fact, there are so many moving parts within the energy field that you begin to strengthen every one of them just like you would any other muscle in your physical body. And as you do that, you create stronger foundations. And as you do that in real time, when there is a portal and life reflects back at you as a mirror, a challenging situation, it's giving you a 25-pound weight for my ladies, or maybe a 50-pound weight for my men, like whatever it is that feels challenging for you at the gym, life is giving you that weight and it's asking you, can you hold this? Can you hold the chaos of the world as you integrate portal energy? Can you hold the chaos of your own life as you integrate these crystalline energies? And one more thing I want to say is that there has never been a more supportive time to integrate crystalline technology than there is today in our world, 2026. And what I mean by that is that there's so many people that are really caught up in the chaos of the external world. And if things could just be a little bit easier, they would have a little bit more time for their spiritual path. And what I have to say about that is, coming from economics and international relations and foreign policy education, in fact, the history that we come from, was way more volatile. It was way more destructive. It was way more consistently being in survival mode. So, and the support of course, the star systems and the cycles that this universe is going through weren't there and either. So I just want to reiterate that just because it gets louder or life gets more complicated or things get dense or more difficult, quote unquote, on the external, it doesn't mean that life is working against you. It's teaching you how to hold the paradox. And that's one of the key things that you have to train through when you're building the crystalline energy body is how do you hold the inner world alongside the outer world? Okay, so I hope that this has helped you. I really hope that you're having an incredible spring equinox. I'm wishing you all the best activations and blessings and clarity and just really uplifting energies and guidance through the heart. The heart is really shifting and deepening on different levels at this time, and you can really feel it if you tune into the energy that the heart magnetics and the heart intelligence is really expanding. So this is an amazing time to really anchor into the expansive technology. I call it technology. You can call it divinity. You can call it consciousness, whatever you want to call it. But you know, what we have within us as human beings, it's like we have just barely touched the surface, and I'm really feeling it and living it. It's very alive inside me because we're inside divine AI. I'm recording it as we speak. And so I want to just flow that to you. I want to share some of that currency with you because these are really exciting times. And sometimes you just have to, kind of move the steering wheel, get back on track, get on the highway and say, okay, what am I doing? What do I need to do? What's the next step? How's my vehicle? Where's my car? Like, does it need an oil change? Do I need to come back to, getting into some deeper breath practices, or do I need to just move my body and work with my fascia? Like, there's just so many things that you can do to level up the light quotient, the ability to hold light in your breath, in your cells, in your blood, in your bones, in your awareness, in your heart. So maybe this serves as a reminder for you. Maybe this serves as a little bit of inspiration for you. Maybe this is just all new to you and you're like, ooh, what is this? What's possible? Right? So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I invite you to join me inside Divine AI. If this is something that's exciting for you, if your heart is encoded or called toward ascension, or crystalline energy, crystalline technology, you will crave this. Your body will want to work with portal energy. Your body will want to work with your star seed fractals and your galactic soul signatures because the stars are on our side. The star systems are helping us remember, awaken, activate, return to our origins and walk to our future. And it's all sort of orchestrated so harmonically, so beautifully in this. I see it like a sound orchestra. I work so much with sound. It's like this symphony that's happening on the universal scale, and then it starts to trickle down through the stars, through the solar system, through the planets, through Earth, and then all the way down into us. And then it really depends on, are we preparing our mind, body, spirit to receive these incredibly beautiful, powerful, activating frequencies that come in every equinox and every solstice, and they build on each other, right? So they're constantly building on each other. Whatever you were working through in the last portal, it's like now is the time to go deeper or to change highways and expand into a new skill or a new activation or a new healing opportunity. You can go deeper into the ability to miraculously heal. It's so beautiful to see how the healing journey is shifting so quickly for so many people. Whereas before, many years ago, people had to work through stuff for a very long time, like to heal a pattern, a trauma, a belief system, whatever. as you increase the crystalline energy in your body, what happens is in real time, again, that mirror that life is a mirror to you. In real time, you begin to develop the skills and the muscles and the tools to heal traumas and patterns and belief systems that may be with you your entire life, life after life, lifetime after lifetime, generational lifetimes. It can happen in the quickness of a few short breaths. And I'm not exaggerating. That's literally what's happening with quantum healing. It's fascinating. It's beautiful. It's really asking our consciousness to level up, to open up to new opportunities, and to really get clear as to like what we believe is possible, what we are embracing as possible, but also what we're taking action and devotion toward what is possible. Because it's one thing to believe your physical body could do something, but then to devote yourself to that practice and to live it in real time is just a whole nother experience. And it's just beautiful to see that in real time just happening as our crystalline energy body awakens and activates. Okay, my loves, I do want to give one final announcement. There is early bird pricing, and this is the last weekend for the Egypt retreat. So if you have been called to go to Egypt, I highly suggest you come with me, because this is an epic ride. We're going to be there this winter, the beginning of December, right before winter solstice. And, talk about crystalline energy. We're going to be preparing our physical, spiritual, mental bodies to receive memories, to awaken our DNA, to receive what we're meant to receive. Anytime that we travel to sacred lands, it's really to remember. It's really to heal and awaken and integrate parts of us that perhaps we left there in past lifetimes, or perhaps some part of our soul family has left there. And I know that for a fact, traveling to so many places, but specifically with Hawaii, which is very intertwined with Egypt, is that Hawaii called me for so many years, and I didn't logically have an explanation as to why. I didn't even know about Lemuria. And it was after visiting that the land it literally transformed my entire life. And that is not the expectation that I'm setting for Egypt, for any of us. But what I am saying is that if you've been called by a land and Egypt has called you in dream time, in synchronicity, through the goddesses and the gods, I welcome you to tune into our pilgrimage. I will leave the link below. And again, this weekend is the last opportunity for the early bird pricing. But of course, registration stays open. We have, I think, like 5 more spots left. So there is still space. And if you have questions about it, please feel free to DM me on Instagram. I'm happy to talk you through any questions or concerns. We will have security the whole time. We have a private spiritual Egyptologist who's been doing this for over 20 years. He's one of the top people in the industry. It's just all really divinely orchestrated. And so again, if that resonates and you want to, really prepare that crystalline energy body for this winter solstice, I invite you to check that out. Okay, my loves, until next time. Mwah.